Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday morning. It is the final game of the season, Gameweek 38, the final push. My name is Hafiz, and I would like to welcome my co-host Azmin to the stream. How's your feeling this morning?
Okay. I think is the that type of week where I live for. Lots of unpredictability in trying to figure out who's going to be the top FPL point scorer for the week.
All right. Okay. It is the final game week of the season. Nothing to lose. If you're chasing, this is the week that you need to do it. There's no other week after this. If you have one free transfer, this is your last transfer you're gonna make. If you have two free transfer, this is the last two transfer you're gonna make. Okay.
And if you still have a chip, my God, please use
Yep.
that.
Yep. Yep. Pretty much that's this is the final week that you can do anything if you still left. All right, Min, before we jump into the team news and pressure, just want to touch a bit. Yesterday was the EFL Championship playoff between Coventry City versus Luton Town. We already know Burnley and Sheffield United are going to return to Premier League next season, and they will be joining by the Hatters, Luton Town. They have returned back to the top flight. 31 years return since 1992. What a fairy tale, man.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, if you think about it, about 5 years ago, they were in a League Two match, both of them, Luton and Coventry, and that's just over 5 years ago, and now Luton's back in the Premier League as well. So it's incredible thing for them, and my hope is that they will survive their first season in the league. But of course, they need to be smart about how they adjust their team. Don't go overboard in the transfers. Figure it out. Figure it out.
Okay, you know what? If I can still recall, Luton Town is like my childhood. I can still remember Luton Town. But after that, Luton Town is not in our picture. And I think pretty much the young generation will not even know Luton Town.
No,
Yeah.
of course not. Yeah, it
So,
was. It was. Yeah, they were in the league. They were so far away.
yeah,
1992.
definitely. Welcome back, haters, to Premier League. But pretty much it's going to be a rough season, especially from the promoted side. But that's another story that we're going to talk about. But we just jump straight to game week 38 fixture. Main all fixture will be played at the same time tonight, Malaysian time 11:30 p.m. and the deadline will be at 10 p.m. What's the matches for tonight? Pretty much, I think we already touched in midweek. Three teams are fighting for European Conference League spot, of which Villa versus Brighton, Spurs versus Leeds United, and also Brentford versus Man City. They still have an outside chance. At the same time, three teams are fighting for to
To
avoid
avoid rel-
relegation. Okay, only one spot left. Two teams will be going down. Whether it's between Everton versus Bournemouth, okay, Leeds versus Spurs. This is interesting match because both teams have something to play. And last but not least, Leicester versus West Ham. Okay, other than that, pretty much there are nothing to play, but there's still some pride or even play in front of their own crowd for the last time. Arsenal versus Wolves. Okay, we have Chelsea versus Newcastle. We have Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest. Forest has saved from and see their place in Premier League next season. We have Manchester United versus Fulham, and then Southampton versus Liverpool. Man, so I think let's jump straight to the team news. There are pretty much some team that we are targeting. A lot of managers are looking at some players, especially that gonna play, and we definitely want to predict what kind of lineup and what have been the managers have been talking about their side for this week. So let's go first with Arsenal versus Wolves. I think a lot of managers are interested in Arsenal players, especially. So what's the latest news for both teams?
So there's quite a few issues with Arsenal. Obviously the Saka and Trossard were name checked. Um, and Nelson as well. But apparently, Nelson and Saka are back in training as of the most recent news I had last night. But again, will that be enough for them to come in? We're not sure. So you've got Martinelli, Saliba, and Zinchenko. We've got the key first 11. They're all out, so that's fine. So we could really see a lot of rotation. You got Emil Smith Rowe, who's hardly played. If you remember last season, there was a point where he was scoring, and every time he came in as a sub, he'll just come out with a goal. So not sure why he's and the argument is you could argue that Arsenal failed to make use of their squad well enough to overcome fatigue. Because they had ESR, they had Nelson, who could do better, and even Trossard. Even the moment Jesus was fit, you saw Trossard immediately being relegated, and they just didn't have as much impact as he had. So you got to wonder with the if Arteta had managed his squad better, we might have seen a bit of a difference to the season. Anyway, so you've got a lot of players who could come in other than Smith Rowe. You got Nketiah who could come in as well. And even at the back, you got Tierney coming in. So we do know that if you remember that ridiculous experiment by Arteta playing Partey as a fullback, so that's not. I doubt that's going to happen. Maybe so we could see Partey back there instead of Jorginho. We don't know. We got Zaka there, we do know that Zaka is playing his last it's probably his last game for Arsenal because he's scheduled to leave. So it'd be interesting to see what he does. But you would think that Arteta might let him play this last game as well, as a farewell for him. Okay, so on Wolves side, again, there are a few, not much changes, but we do know there are a few players out of contract like Moutinho, and I think even Traore. Is it Traore? Yeah, I think Traore is out as well, out of contract. I mean, and as well as Costa. So I don't know how Lopetegui is going to approach this one. They really don't. Both teams really haven't nothing to play for. I would think that Lopetegui will try to adjust the squad to take into account people who will be here next season as he begins preparations. So people like Moutinho, they might just come in as a sub, as a farewell. But yeah, so so for both these teams, there's a bit of chaos in terms of the squad selection.
Yep. I think in terms of Wolves, and it was especially of his future also uncertain. In terms of you mentioned that he's not being back in terms of players, so that could be an issue. Maybe pretty much Wolves lineup could be a depleted side or even the young players that are going to play. But Arsenal also has some worries, man. But hopefully, if we have some team news later, the likes of Odegaard, Saka, Jesus could be the one that people are thinking to bring in if we know that they're going to play. All right.
Yep.
I mean, that's Arsenal versus Wolves. Are you predicting a big score for Arsenal to win this game? What do you think?
I think so. If you remember the midweek, I mentioned that Arsenal might also look at this as a thank you match for their fans. So they definitely feel that they need to, come out with a good show and end the season. Well, not as high as it could have been, but and end as a home match and as a form of celebration. So I'd say it could be a goal scoring fest for Arsenal, 3-0 maybe.
All right, let's go to the next match of which Aston Villa has something to play. Okay, Brighton has already locked their place in terms of Europa League spot, but Villa are trying to win this game to lock their European Conference League spot. So what's the latest news for both teams?
Okay, so Villa, we do know that Moreno, Coutinho, and Steer are all out, so that's given. So that means Digne will definitely take his chance there, and will he be able to do enough for next season? Yeah, we'll see. Other than that, Coutinho's out as well. So if you remember Watkins, who apparently got snubbed from England selection. So there's a lot of argument in terms of he'll be using this match to protest, to show how much better he is now, and should be given. So there's a lot of FPL theories on that. Well, if you remember, he missed the penalty last week, but but Aston Villa, you still have Jacob Ramsey, who has been doing well in the last few weeks, and he used last season he was one of my random
Yep,
picks, but
definitely, definitely.
he's
His price is
although he was
4.5 last time.
yeah, unfortunately the price thing for this season was a bit, but he's there, so you would fancy him as a possible um off field pick. So on the Brighton side, so we do know that Brighton are supposedly exhausted, but I do remember we had this conversation last time, exhausted, and then they came out and trashed. I can't remember what team it was.
Is it Wolf 6-0? Is that
Yeah,
what
yeah. There you go. Yes, yes. And of course the only problem there was it was with Welbecks, with the Grosses, so it wasn't your, but it goes to show that that exhaustion theory might not play. In fact, the time when Brighton really surprised us was when they lost 5-2 to Everton, and that was more of a shock because I think Everton scored within the first minute, and then somehow Brighton, they just couldn't get over it. So I don't think exhaustion will play a part. Having said that, you would think that Brighton would still want to finish off nicely, even though they're not at home, because it's been a great season for Brighton. Finally in Europe, but unfortunately, the question is how Brighton will line up. So this is a big question. Okay, now we do know that Enciso, he was subbed out not
the league,
long,
right?
yeah, in the second half, because we saw that he had a hamstring issue just before halftime. Yeah, so we don't know. So I doubt he'll be back. Obviously he can score spectacular goals, but it may not be too. It might be
So,
a bit
so,
dangerous.
so
Yeah.
once a player that you have, Bonate, could actually start, is it?
Sorry? No, yeah, Bueneto, I don't know. Yeah, so that lineup has Enciso, yeah, but it could be Bueneto. So we do know, other than that, we know that March is out as well. And of course, Skill has pretty much got his space. Welbeck started in midweek, if you remember. So I definitely expect and hope Ferguson will continue to start. And I think that Ferguson, has the capacity to do well. Mitoma should start as well, although we do not, he did get an assist last week, right? But then Mitoma hasn't hit the heights that we previously saw. But he should continue to start because he still causes a lot of problems for teams on that flank. So yeah, if you were to ask me how to call it, it's a tough one. I don't know. I think maybe 2-2 draw.
Okay, all right. But I expect Aston Villa are going to be up for this match, and one of the asset that managers are eyeing, definitely Watkins is the number one. The second one that you mentioned, Jacket Ramsey, could be the under radar asset that you can get this week. If you feel that Villa can have a good score against Brighton, all right. So let's go to the next match, which is Brentford versus Man City. An interesting match, Neil, because Man City already sealed their league title, but Brentford has outside chance to qualify for Europa Conference League if Villa and Spurs drop out. So what's the latest news for both teams?
So no real changes for Brentford. We do know the outgoing captain Jensen. That's it. I mean, he's not going to play anymore this season. Tony, of course, is suspended thanks to his gambling proclivities, and but we've, as we mentioned in midweek, it doesn't seem to Brentford seem to win when Tony's not around now. So it's not an issue with Buemo scoring a brace and an assist in their last game up. Okay, on the City side, so
Can you predict the City side, man, this week?
okay, no, so I'm sorry, this is such a weird one ever because we just have no idea. So my theory is that Pep will play a decently strong lineup. And the reason is for that, they've already had their celebrations already, and they had their random lineups, but now it's the time because they need to refocus. They have two finals coming up, So I think this is the best interest. It's not so much about avoiding injury. Is to is to keep the players in shape and ensure they up for it when the finals come. So that lineup is so obviously that lineup doesn't have Foden on it, and because it's Grealish. So that theory is that Grealish is still the best player at the moment over Foden. So I think that might be right. Actually, I don't see. I don't know. Um, the, there's a different theory is that Stones would play. Um,
Yeah. Okay. Right.
so
Okay.
so I don't know. It's
You would
hard to tell.
expect like the like Edison to start this game, right? Because Ortega might start the FA Cup final. Could be. Yeah.
No, I think Edison will start both the FA Cup final and
Okay.
yeah. But I do think there is a risk that because goalkeeper not so bad, he could still start Ortega for this week. Yeah,
Yep.
that's a
Okay.
risk there.
I'm really interested to have the team leagues, especially on Man City, because I have three of their assets. I have
So do
Haaland, I
I.
have Martinez and Grealish. So I'm pretty
I
much
have
really,
Logan Stones and Haaland.
yeah. So pretty much we are need to be alert if we can get any news, right? If you don't have news, then we have to assume those three are going to play, right? But I think we need to be ready. Yep. All right, man. Let's go to the next match of this. My club, Chelsea versus Newcastle. No interest in terms of Chelsea fighting for this. They will, whatever the result for this game, they will finish at the second half league. And then Newcastle are pretty much already locked their spot. Although there's some also talking about Newcastle try to finish up in the third spot, but there's no real anxiety in terms of they already locked their Champions League spot. So what do you think? What's the latest from both teams?
Yeah, so Chelsea out from a thrashing by Man U of 4-1. Sorry, your face. But so the key players are out. You got Chilwell, Cucurella, Sterling, Mount, and Reece James. None of them are likely to make it for this. So that lineup you see is that could be it. Yeah, um, it's hard to tell, but I don't think we're going for any Chelsea. I think of course, obviously they're at home and they want to finish off nice, at least with a win. But that squad is just too disjointed. You have no idea what's going
Unless
on.
Lampard has brave enough to play Felix. I think Felix has been decent and scoring, but he never starts. So I don't know. We shall see what's Lampard thinking.
Okay, yeah. So on Newcastle side, unfortunately, is quite a there's a
Mhm.
bit of change of this side than the normal first 11 we used to seeing. So we do know that Willock, Jolington, who are ever present, as well as Pope, are all out. So they're not going to make it for this week. So we can see some changes in the lineup. Um, so Dubravka obviously will come in most likely. I don't think there's any issues there. So now it's a case of Isaac, Maximin, and Wilson. That Isaac Wilson story. Will we see any changes there? Um,
What do you think? Do you think Wilson and Isaac going to start again together?
and I mean it's hard to tell because this is clearly I was wrong in the sense that Howie does think that they can play together because I still don't. Still my jury's out. Um, but we have Murphy fit. Shaw actually is, even though he's there at the lineup, even Shaw is potentially at risk.
Mm-hmm.
As well
All
as
right.
Bruno Gumares. So so Chelsea might have a chance if that many team are up. But then I have to admit that Newcastle are still they have a squad togetherness that Chelsea don't have, and that's why
Yeah.
I don't think I just can't see Chelsea getting a win out of this one. If they can maybe salvage a draw, but it's a long shot.
All right. Pretty much that's the story for both teams. Let's go to the next match, which is there's a lot interest in terms of Crystal Palace players, man, and they are fighting for us who are already I don't know, they call it on the beach because they already secured their Premier League status. But pretty much this is the last game. It could be Roy Hudson last game. So what's the latest news for both teams?
Right. So we do know for Palace, as mentioned in the tweet, Zaha, Tompkins, and Slup and Ferguson is out as well. Guaita comes back, but will he go back to the starting lineup? Who knows? That one is a toss. But of course, you got Eze, who is the hype of the final game week. You're looking him to burst, and continue to blow up. The problem is, and one of the reasons why Eze is also getting more attention is on the Forest side, because Navas is now out, and so we do know that the Forest keepers play a big role in helping their team to survive and any onslaught. And previously we've seen Henderson, and now Navas is out as well. So Hennessy comes in, and Hennessy is nowhere of the same level. So we could see a bit trashing, and it's just, do we go with the crowd of Eze or try something slightly different, like you say?
And one more thing, Eze will be on penalty since Zaha gonna be out. I think that's another good point.
Is that? I didn't know Eze was on penalty.
Eze will be on penalty.
So, but Forest's attack is still intact, and Awoniyi has stepped up quite well. He's been scoring at a decent rate. Gibbs White, of course, is always there, but Johnson, who has been out of the squad, not out of the first 11 really, and but he may come back in, and this is the final match for the season. So interesting, this one.
The predicted match for this game is like a high-scoring game. I mean, Crystal Palace and Forest, they have nothing to lose. They could easily be like 2-2, 3-3, or actually Palace 1-4. That's what people are thinking. That's why people are bringing the likes of, you mentioned, Eze is later we touch the most transfer games. Okay. Yes, this is a vital game for Everton survival. Yeah, at home against Bournemouth. They pretty much, on paper, I think a draw will be enough, but they're definitely gunning for a win. So what's the latest news, man, for Everton and also Bournemouth side?
Got a bit noisy there. Okay, so now we down into the business end of the fixtures you got, and the first up is Everton versus Bournemouth, right? So DCL again out, then you got Patterson, once a FPL cheap people out as well. Hang on, my chair's going down. Okay, so Mykolenko might be fit, so we'll figure out. And Godfrey Townsend not available. Connor Cody, who missed last week because it was against Wolves, so he's back as well. So with the shift lineup, I don't think so. I think they'll keep that Mina Tarkowski centre back pairing. So you got Demarai Gray predicted to start up there, and so you can see when you look at that front, you can see just how much lacking potential that forward lineup is, and they coming up against Bournemouth, who Gary O'Neill has done miracles. Honestly, I can say that I predicted Bournemouth to be relegated come the end of the season, but somehow he's managed to drag them back. And so you got Solanke, Billing, who missed out last week, so he's back, and Billing plus Solanke is much more stronger. So other than that, it should be the same old. So how will Bournemouth approach this game? Well, I think they'll just approach wanting to win. I think they don't mind being the spoilers. Yeah. So So I mean, they secured the status a while back. So I don't think it's not like Brighton where you think that they just achieved their target of getting back to Europe and now they're going to celebrate. So, but in Bournemouth's case, they were already safe a while back. And even then, last week, they played Manchester United, and it was a narrow loss, 0-1. It was only 0-1. So you can show that Bournemouth is definitely there.
Okay, I mean, you can see DCL won't be starting. Demarai Gray could actually start up front. I'm not sure about what Mopey's status right now. He might not start, but the Corey could be an option up front if he play out of position. Other than that, McNeil is the one that people are eyeing. But if you mention Mykolenko will not start, McNeil will go back to the left back, and it will not entice managers to pick any Everton asset to especially on the attacking side.
What's
Okay.
your prediction for this one?
I think everything has enough to win this game. It could be like a nervy 1-year, and they're gonna be safe. That's my feeling.
Okay, I'm gonna disagree with that. I think Everton are gonna lose this one 2-0.
Right? Well, we shall see. If let's say you mentioned Everton lost 2-0, will that defeat still make them survive this
Yeah.
relegation? We shall see.
Well,
We shall.
let's see the next match.
Yeah, which is Leeds versus Spurs. Both teams have something to play, like we mentioned. Okay, even though I heard like a community did mention that Spurs do not want any European place next season, so they can concentrate really on league. But I doubt about that. Okay, European place is the way that people want to go. So what's the latest news for both teams? Leeds especially, they have to go all in, man.
Okay, so so you got a lot of things about Bamford right now, whether he's ready. Apparently, Rodrigo, who was one of the issues, but apparently he's been back in training, so it's fine. So Bamford now is the biggest question, and if Bamford's not up, then if Rodrigo starts, theoretically he could be on penalties as well as he was earlier in the season. Firpo is back from suspension, but that guy's just a random. Firpo is just one of those guys who you can't trust. I can't trust him. If he's around, you can tell he's just going to do something stupid, which was what happened a couple of weeks back. No other real changes. But the thing is, I do think Leeds will be up for it, and obviously they try to fight relegation. They are playing against Spurs, who I don't know what Spurs are. Seriously, what their motivation is, what's on their minds. They got trashed by Brentford last week, 3-1, right?
3-1.
At home.
At home.
At home. Okay, so it tells you a lot and about Spurs at the moment. And in terms of injuries, Lloris is still not back yet. But everyone else is equal. It's just whether or not they're up for it. So you see the lineup that's predicted there doesn't have Richarlison in it. But interestingly, it has Pedro Porro playing in a forward position. So it's something, but it's something to think about if you want to go for an out of position player. And we know that Pedro Porro also takes a lot of set balls, as well as he likes to shoot a lot. He was one of those who shot quite a bit against Brentford the other day, except he was just not on target.
Yeah, but he did not start right that game, so that pretty much.
He came on as a sub. Now, I mean, the Spurs lineup last week was weird. It was just confusing. So I don't know.
So I'm not sure whether managers are interested or gamble to bring him in unless you really, really want to. What do you think, Min? How this match gonna turn out?
Okay, so one popular thing, because a lot of people are thinking because Leeds are just going to continue anyway, and they're probably not wrong, that Leeds are just a very leaky side. They will concede goals. So that's why there's a lot of interest to bring in Kane. I think that Leeds will also attack, and I think that it could be a goal fest, but Leeds could edge this one by 3-2.
Okay.
It's a
So
surprise.
if you mention that Spurs gonna score this game, pretty much we know one man that gonna do that, which is Kane, right? So that's why people are interested to bring him in. You feel like that? Leeds gonna concede goals, okay, against Spurs.
Yes.
I
can't see Leeds not conceding goals. The only question is how do people bring in Kane? So we'll get into the other lineups and where we can look at options where that can happen.
All right, pretty much it's also an interesting game because both teams have something to play. Also, we don't left out Leicester, man. They still has outside chance to survive this, but people are writing them off because their appetite is not there, especially Madison and Barnes, the two key players Leicester was benched last week. So what the Leicester news for both teams?
So one thing about the Leicester approach, the manager, what they did was if you remember, even though they benched them, but they against Newcastle, so they clearly changed the tactics, but they managed to made off with a draw, and and resulting in those Jamie Iverson points, 0-0. So it'll be interesting to see. It's going to be really tough, and I do expect Madison and Barnes to return to the starting lineup in this final match, making Madison a possible dark horse pick here. Having said that, West Ham are no pushovers anymore. We kept talking about how West Ham might be distracted by Europe, but that hasn't been the case. In the last time out, they won 3-1 against Leeds, or it was Leeds. Although they did lose against Brentford the week before, they did win against Manchester United in Gameweek 35. I think they're on 1-0. So it's not really a theory. I don't think the theory about them being distracted by Europe checks out as well. So I think that they will also look at this as a match to prepare for the Europe place. So they'll still start with a full squad, full strength team, but make subs to manage, to make sure they don't come off an injury. So in terms of injury news, it's just Agard is fit. Other than that, everyone else should be fine.
What do you think going to happen? Leicester versus West Ham. Will there be any miracle happen?
This is a tough one to call. Leicester obviously need to win, but I think it's a draw. I think 1-1, because West Ham are not gonna be lying down. 1-1 for me.
All right. So you're predicting based on those three results, Leeds are the one going to survive on the relegation. And if I may remember, Leeds also survived at the final day last season, getting out of nowhere result against Brentford away. So I think I still remember that. Yep.
So the fairy tale we need to that I'm discounting here is Sean Dyche surviving, saving Everton from relegation. So that's the big call on my side. Yeah, it's just that when I look at Everton, it's just, yeah. I mean, they did.
I think the one important result they got is actually 5-1 against Brighton away. I think that's the
huge result. Yeah. So let's see.
Right, mate. Let's go. Manchester United versus Fulham. Manchester United already locked their Champions League spot. Fulham pretty much will finish mid-table. Interestingly, we want to know what Eric Ten Hag mentioned about his team. Are they gonna be on the beach, or they still gonna feel a strong side? So what's the latest news?
So I think they still feel the strong side as strong as they can. I don't see. One thing, of course, they'll be aware that they're playing at home, where they want to end off nicely. Plus, they against Fulham, who can score regardless. So it's really they can't be too careful or end up, if they randomly get trashed by Fulham at Old Trafford, it's going to put a sour note to the end of the season. So yes, Fernandes, Rashford, who came back last week, are fit, so he should be back. So the biggest question, Anthony's out, but so the biggest question is Shaw. So will Shaw return? Ten Hag was not giving much away, but I don't think he'll be back. Yeah, I think Malaysia will come in for that one, as per the.
Now, why you want to risk, right? Shaw. I think you just play Malaysia, but it's going to frustrate the Shaw owners definitely.
Yeah, myself included. So on the Fulham side, so no, it didn't really have any real changes. Same players are out, Pereira, but we saw, Fulham squad has improved in the sense that you got players stepping up. You got Willian and Harry Wilson stepping up really nicely, and Mitrovic, of course, like he's never left. So it could be it's going to be a good one. This one, as you know, I have Mitrovic, so obviously I'll be hoping he'll score.
Yep. So pretty much we can see the lineup. I think you can rest some pressure player. Mogai is still good enough at central defense, even though Manchester United won't be agreeing with me. Whitehorse starting over Marshall, could be. Garnacho have a chance to start, but Rashford should be back, right? I think that's one of the big news that people are looking at. So pretty much this could be an open game, like you mentioned. Mitrovic could score, Rashford, Bruno, who knows? Yep. Right, we go to the last match, mate, for our preview. Southampton versus Liverpool. Klopp did mention that he might do some refreshing or changes. So, what do you think, mate? What's the latest news?
Right. So Southampton, yeah, don't know lah what's going on. Anyone there, we know definitely no one's gonna pick him up. Uh, the one name person name check was Livramento, but he's still coming back from injury. So yeah. Anyway, we want to say got to say farewell to most of them. We won't see them next season. Uh, so for Klopp, so we do know that Klopp said that we'll make some changes. We'll look around. We'll have players who have want to say something. And obviously you can interpret it in two ways. Those who haven't performed and will look to perform, like Darwin. That's one. And of course, we got Firmino, this will be his farewell match. You would expect him to start this one. Unfortunately, he didn't start last week in a home game. Yeah, but I'm sure Klopp will want to send him off properly, even though he couldn't last week.
So you feel Firmino going to start this game?
Yes, Firmino will definitely start, and that's why I'm worried about my Gakpo as to how they do it. So here it has Firmino, Jota, and Salah. It doesn't have Darwin there. But the way it's fielded is quite interesting. That's a 3-4-3 back, so I yeah, but it's actually no, it's actually because you got TAA a bit forward there, but in a defensive line, TAA will still be back, but it's just he goes forward. So question, I mean, there is a question as to, is Salah going to start?
What do you think? What do you think, Min? I'm interested to know. Do you feel
that nothing to play for? So, Salah he was on record and saying he's really disappointed that Liverpool didn't get into the Champions League.
Okay, all right, fair. So, what do you think about Salah?
Am I avoiding the question? I think he will start. I do think he will start. Yeah.
All right.
Whether he'll perform, I'm not sure, but
will he play 90 minutes? What do you think?
No, he won't play 90 minutes. I think he'll be subbed off early. Historically, these teams who are relegated tend to also concede a lot anyway, so it's hard for us to adjust your Liverpool players.
Okay.
But you already have Salah and TA. Of course, we've seen Salah and TA being benched on the final day in a final day where they had nothing to play for. So, but I mean, you have to work with that. Work with your bench, in terms of. I would say you probably still, if you can still field them, but make adjustments so that you have bench players who could come on. Yeah,
right.
Because I would think that if Liverpool are playing well and score, let's say Salah or TAA don't start, if they've scored like 3 goals, I don't think Salah and TAA will come in. But if they are losing, then Salah and TAA will come in. Either way, it's okay to field them, I think.
All right. Okay. After talking to you, because my thinking was I have only 2 Liverpool assets. I am targeting this match that could be potentially Hall. But after talking to you, with uncertainty, Firmino start, Diogo Jota, you're not sure over Darwin. Can Darwin start this game? Or Gakpo somewhere there?
I think Darwin can start. I mean, based on Klopp's comments, Darwin is clearly someone who has something to prove. So Klopp's comments about letting people who want to mistake their claim, I think Darwin is one of them at the moment. So, but whether Darwin works well with Firmino, we haven't really seen much of that this season because Firmino's been injured when Darwin's been fit and vice versa. Most of the time.
Okay, fair. So yep, I think I might actually stick only with 2 Liverpool assets and think other place to get players.
Yep. Go elsewhere.
All right, man. Let's go to the transfer traffic for this final game week of the season. As we mentioned before, the most that managers are attracted to is actually from Crystal Palace, Mr. AC, with 335,000 managers has brought him in. As we also mentioned, he's also in fine form. He's at home. Crystal Palace wants to end their season on high. They are playing with Forest with Navas out and Eze will be on penalty. What There's nothing to like about Eze after talking about all the factors. I think he's the number one that people are targeting, especially replacing any your brighter midfield, Mitoma or McAllister or March if you still have him, because he's still on the same price bracket. The second one is Arsenal asset, Odegaard, with 187,000 managers has brought him in. I think for the like to like replacement, you can see on this on the other side, Martinelli or Grealish. That's the traffic out right now. Kane, interestedly, people are thinking about him playing the final game of the year. Normally, Kane produce, especially on the last game of the season. That's why people are bringing him in, and he could be in for Haaland. Yeah, I think so. Rashford, the fourth one, and then Salah. I think pretty much these are the people or potentially captain captainable players for this final game. In terms of top transfer out, Martinelli is out definitely. So 335,000 has brought him out. Grealish is a doubt, but I'm still I have him. I might want to hold him until I really knows the news that he's out. 289,000 has brought him out. Haaland, is that a surprise one at third place? Like for maybe Kane to come in. I don't. People might think that Haaland might not play full minutes or maybe starting. That's why. Tony, he's definitely out 8 months, and Pope, who are actually injured or in surgery, going for surgery, he'll be out. So, what do you think, mate? What you can make up of this top transfer for Game Week 38?
So the biggest thing that sticks out for me is Haaland being sold off. We do know because Game Week 37 was a double game for Manchester City, and because for the first game they were assured of victory and of the Premier League, and Haaland ended up not starting that match. Okay, so that's one. And he started the midweek match against Brighton and only made off with an assist in a 1-1 draw. So the question is, he played 90 minutes for that one, for the second game week, and that is probably one of the reasons why people feel that ditching Haaland is safe enough to bring Kane. I'm not on that train of thought. I feel that it's too dangerous not to have Haaland. Learning my mistakes a bit late in the season. But okay, so obviously, yeah, you're right. Obviously, it's mostly Haaland for Kane because he's the only forward that's in the top 5. The rest are all midfielders. So moving to Eze, yes. So the as mentioned earlier, obviously Crystal Palace at home and Eze is in form, but also the fact that Forest, when they have nothing to play for, aren't going to do well. Plus the fact that Navas is out as well, so Hennessy comes in. He's an experienced Premier League keeper, but yeah, he's nowhere in the same league. So that's where a lot of the is coming from in terms of Crystal Palace trashing Forest. So Odegaard is buying into the Arsenal will play well at home and score. So that's the most popular pick. Rashford is still being transferred in, surprisingly. Maybe they like me who don't have him, as well as Salah. So there are those who. So obviously they don't believe into my theory that Salah could potentially be arrested. Bench, but Salah is the top 5. So no real surprises on the right side. You got Tony, Pope, Martinelli all out. Grealish in it. So it really is just Haaland who's the biggest surprise, and it is a surprise, at least for me.
All right. Do you feel that Eze is actually the realistic players that people should eye in, because his now ownership has risen to 11%, so it can only go up? What do you think? Is this hype is only merely hype, or is it the best pick for this week?
No, I'm not one to follow the crowd, but I do agree that Eze looks great, and he'll be looking to perform this one, and the stage is set for him to perform with Forest. Forest are reconsolidating, or they're looking for next season. They're just happy to stay in the league, and I have to agree. I think Eze is a good pick. I don't have him, I think it's something that I need to look at to bring him in. How much is he now?
5.7.
Oh, that's cheap.
Okay. Right. No no question about that. Okay, good. He's definitely cheap. If you like you have 7 million, say you have 7 million, you have option to go whether AZ or the gut. That would be an interesting one. Yeah. All right, man.
Um,
Yeah. Never mind. I think there'll be question on that. Let's go to our team. At least maybe our thinking has gone differently from midweek. Let's go to your team first, mate. What's your feeling this morning?
yeah, definitely it has gone different because I was originally not going to go the Eze route, but now I'm seriously considering Eze as one of the players to bring in. So I mentioned earlier that Gakpo is someone I'm looking to move on because I think he'll be at risk. And Gakpo is a nice for Eze. Easy add in. Yeah. Alternatively, if I don't want to sell Gakpo, but I can sell Willock, I can afford Eze. I can't. Um, yeah. So yeah. I can't afford someone like Odegaard, but I think Eze is just nicely. I did test Willock if I could sell him for Rodrigo, and I'm
Oh.
short by point one. So the thing is, yeah. So I'm tempted to go the safe route and go not safe route, but the popular route, which is go to
Okay,
Eze.
bro.
And the reason I want to do that, and I can do that Willock to Eze, just nice, because I have 5 points and I still have funds left over. And the reason is for that because I already have what are arguably differential picks already. Mitrovic and Ferguson are not
Mm-hmm.
popular picks at all. So I can sell Willock for Eze, push Gakpo as to the bench as a backup.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
and other than that, obviously I haven't moved up, but Stones should. I can put Stones in the starting lineup because I do think he'll start, and Trippier as well, and just because Shaw is out, and
So,
and
what's your lineup going to be? TA, Lindelof, you're going to play?
okay, so TA, Trippier, and Stones,
Okay, all right.
Gundogan, and maybe Willock's replacement, which
Okay,
most likely will
fair,
be Eze.
fair.
Then Salah, Mitoma, Mitrovic, Ferguson, Haaland. But the big question for me is who do I captain, and that's a tough
I'm
one.
interesting to know. What do you think, man? What's your cheeky plan? Who's gonna your captain? Are you going to captain the boring Haaland?
Yeah, I'll captain the boring Haaland for now. That might change. I might get itchy fingers, but at the moment, I think that
Okay, what
Haaland
what
will.
what, what do you think that the overall managers, going to do if we heard that Haaland going to start? They all going to flock to Haaland?
Yes. There'll be some Eze cheeky captaincies, but other than that, I think it'll be mostly Haaland.
If you do not have any team news at all, and we are presuming Haaland start, are you still going to captain Haaland?
If I have no team news,
Yep. I think last season we do not have any team news, right? I don't know how about this season.
don't know.
Okay.
Gundogan.
Are you
No.
brave enough to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the question is, do I want to go for a? Yeah, I might go for Eze actually. Yeah,
I like that.
cheap pick.
So
Yeah,
you're in 953,000. Please, I think you just go for it, right? Hopefully
yeah.
you will be inside the 1 million, and that could be actually kept your season. Yeah. All right, let's go to my team. My team is in goal. I have De Gea over Kepa. I think that's the right thing to do. Sound already. If let's say De Gea do not start, then Kepa come in. If both don't start, then I got 0 points. So be it. And I have TA, I have Shaw and Estupinian right now. On my bench, you can see Botman and Henry. Basically, both are having a tougher opponent, to be frank. If I have Trippier, right, mate, which
Yep.
most people are going to have, is like ownership is 60%. Then people will play TA, Estamina, and Trippier if let's say Shaw is out. For me, I don't think I'm going to make any defensive transfer, and Botman might come in if let's say Shaw does not start. So that be it. I think Chelsea might not score in that game, and Newcastle keep a clean sheet. There's a potential of that. In midfield, I have Rashford, I have Mitoma, I have Salah as captain for now, and Grealish, because the team predator lineup did mention that Man City gonna start the strong lineup, and Grealish is one of the best 11 of Man City. Even though we are not so sure, right, in terms of his fitness or condition, if not, McAllister could come in, or one of the replacement of Grealish. I think that's the one that I'm eyeing. Alvarez, Haaland, and Isaac up front. There's some weaknesses there. Alvarez might not start, right? Okay, and I think Isaac pretty much going to start, whether he's on the left wing or playing centrally if Wilson does not start. So I might end up keeping Isaac. So I have one free transfer. My feeling is I just want to use one free transfer. I don't want to take a hit if I knew most of my team starts. But if let's say the likes of Haller and Salah did not start, I pretty much need to take a hit to feel a strong side. So my mind right now is only 2 players or maybe 3 players, but I think in terms of ranking, Eze, like you mentioned, Odegaard, and Jacket MC. I think in midfield, Grealish could be the one that will go. 7 million plus, I have enough money to bring any of them, Eze, Odegaard, or even Jacket MC. I think Jacket MC will be my third choice, Eze 1, Odegaard 2. But my feeling is, whoever I bring in, Eze or Odegaard, after hearing that you mentioned about Salah, Haaland potential might not play 90 minutes. I think that's the guy that I'm going to captain. Eze or Odegaard.
Eze. Oh, okay.
I think Eze or Odegaard, whoever come in, I think so. But how about Rashford, man? I just want to ask your thought. Rashford is going to play full minutes?
He may not play full minutes. He does have the final that they had to worry about, so I doubt he'll play full minutes. Maybe 60 plus minutes. He did play midweek as well, so they need to manage that because he is coming back. It wasn't a serious injury, but he was still coming back from injury. the McAllister story is, he was benched during midweek, but this is probably his last game for the club. So, I could see him. It could be potentially a good pick.
Yeah, it could be. Then just leave Grealish on the bench, play Mitoma and McAllister, but pretty much everyone going to have them. Yeah. So, I don't know. The other one that I can do is I set to Watkins. Aston Villa has something to play. But pretty much, I hope I'm going to have like team news. If not, I think Eze and Odegaard that I'm going to make a move.
Do you have enough funds just to do Isaac straight to Watkins?
I think so. Just enough money.
Okay. Well, the last price increase happened this morning. It was Mbuemo, and I think it was
okay.
Oh yeah.
It will take a bold move. People going to Mbuemo, but I think there will be question later. I think we can touch on the question. Let's jump straight on the question because the interesting question from Rakan FPL, of which I think it's interesting one. Would you do Haaland to Kane?
I think that's what a lot of people are doing based on the pattern currently.
Yeah, that's why. I'm not sure, I don't think I will do if let's say we know Haaland starts, but if there is no news.
So what the thing is, I'm worried that it's done so quickly before the deadline. I don't know what they're rushing for. This is the last week, unless they, price wise, I don't think it's a problem. I don't know why it's so high at this point. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't too. But unless you want to go differential, people are going to captain Haaland. You go to Kane and captain him and try your luck. Yeah. That would be another valid point if you want to do. I think because Kane, we know he's going to play 90 minutes. I don't think he's going to be sub out.
True. Yeah, and we do know, and I did say that I think Leeds will concede. and and Kane added a very nice free kick goal to his Arsenal. So
Mm.
random. So yeah.
I think
I
I think this I think this is the one that we keep closely tapped in. If let's say we know Haaland gonna start, I think Kane, and then maybe I just throw the captaincy to him. That could be,
to Kane.
but as we know, Kane is not someone that explosive, right? He's just Mr. Consistent, but not explosive. But we are looking at explosive players. The final game week.
If I get a Leeds lineup and I see Firpo start, I might do the Haaland to Kane jump. Okay, so we'll see.
All right, man. Then another good question on midfield. Spurs has said Salah to Son. Salah has been disappointment this season. What do you think, man?
Well, it's a disappointment, but when you look at it, the number of points he's gained is still, it's more of a disappointment of the team as a whole, I would say. But Salah to Son is just a stretch too far for me because Salah, okay, at the end of the day, Salah is still the top scoring midfielder for FPL. So even though it's been disappointing, and Son has been very erratic. Yeah, he's just hit nowhere at the depths that he has in the heights of the previous season. So no, I won't be jumping to. I
Okay.
wouldn't jump to Son. I think
I
that
also wouldn't jump to Son, but just to mention to you, man, last season is a different season, right? But I just want to mention Son did score 2 goals last season on the final game of the season against Norwich and bet 12 points. I just want to mention that. So
okay.
if you
Were Norwich already relegated at the time? I can't remember.
I think so. 5-0 they win. Son on form. He bet that 2 goals and grab the golden ball. The yeah. The
Grab the
ball.
ball.
Yeah,
Hat
yeah,
trick ball.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, nice.
He's the most scored player last season. He got the
I
goal,
see.
and Kane scored 10 points. So, but it's again Norwich away. This is a different prospect, right? But I'm not sure. Okay.
Yeah.
After penalty me last week, Watkins, avoid or buy? I would definitely still think that he's a buy. It's not a avoid. I think Emery going to play him 90 minutes and he's on penalty min. I think this is another good point and valid point if you want to bring in Watkins. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think the penalty miss should be taken into equation. People Salah's miss penalties as well. So, um, I if you I think it's a good buy. I think it's all right. You can do well.
Right, McNeil or Mina, which one do you interest? If let's say you're going any Everton asset, we already mentioned McNeil on set pieces, but he might be on playing left back if Michael Anker not fit. Mina, he scored last week, right? So he's on form.
Right. So for McNeil, it's really it's a stab in the dark. He can perform on his day. So it's case now Everton versus Bournemouth. Can he perform? Mina, I don't think Mina should be the right pick. I think that he'll lose his clean sheet. I think McNeil
Okay.
is the option. So
Okay.
I go for McNeil.
Right, McNeil, I just want to refresh everyone on I forgot what game week he scored 21 points.
Yeah.
21 points, and can you imagine if you captain him? I think you can easily overhaul 30 points gap if you're chasing.
Well, I'll leave that to my imagination. It's a bit too.
All right, with DCL out, Gray good punt. The printer lineup shows that Gray could actually start up front, but it's different position. DCL up front, Gray in midfield,
Yeah.
and he's priced 5 million plus, I think.
So the good thing is that it is our position. So and he's cheap in midfield. So Gray is definitely likely to play, but I don't think it's a good pick for me now.
All right, fair. With FA Cup final incoming, Marshall or Horse for this week. If you have Marshall, you keep him. I don't think I'm going to bring any of those players in.
Well, I guess it's a case of if you have a striker. Let's say if you have a striker vacancy, who would you go for? And yeah, I wouldn't go for either.
That's why I will go differently. I'll go definitely Watkins, my first player on my mind. If you want to bring any
Yeah.
over in,
Yeah, at that price, you might as well go elsewhere.
If you do not have money, I think Edward at Crystal Palace, 5 million plus, he could be a good shout. Even though he's not as I don't know what you call it, potential explosive FAZ, but he's did managed to get some score. So that's my feeling.
Yeah.
This gonna be a popular question, Min. If you still have Kepa or Raya, who you gonna play?
Wow. I'm not in that position, but I don't envy. I go for Kepa. I just think that Newcastle's lineup is a bit disrupted, so they may not score as much. I think City are looking to get into the groove for the two finals, so I think it's too dangerous for Raya.
All right. So Azmin chose Kepa, but I have more faith on Raya instead of me. And Raya could actually have massive save points, but they still concede. All right. Let's go to the next one. I think this is one that I've been thinking also. Rashford captain. What do you think? Is a decent shout?
No, not against
Okay.
Fulham.
All right. I will say I think it's a decent shout.
Okay.
People won't go. People won't go there. I think people won't go there. People will captain Haaland, captain Salah, will captain Kane. They won't go for Rashford.
True. Yeah, they won't.
Mr. Shaf mentioned, maybe one of us, both of us can give one unpopular dark horse pick for this week. You did mention Ferguson, but you already have him, man.
Yeah. So I'll name two. One is Olise, because everyone's talking about Eze, but Olise
Okay.
does take free kicks.
Yep.
And we've seen him score some pretty decent free kicks as well before. So it could, that could be an option. And another one is, assuming he's fit, Reece Nelson. I think Reece Nelson is one of those players who are looking to prove, that they can. And if Saka isn't fit, then I think Reece Nelson could be a strong dark horse option. So yeah, that's my second.
All right, I'm gonna give my pick. He is playing for something this week. All right, he's only owned by 0.2%, man, and his cheap price at 5.3
Playing at what position?
in midfield. He is gonna fight as a spot, and my pick is Takore from Everton.
Everton.
Yes, he could play up front. He could play up front, or he could play, at number 10. I think
Okay.
I have Samni. And just to remind, he scored 2 goals against Brighton last time out. 13 points from him. I know Everton not going to score big, but I think this one the unpopular dark horse pick that I'm going to say here. All right, let's go to the next question, Min. Play Estupinan or buy Mina for a hit? I don't think I'm going to buy any hits for this week.
This player's opinion.
Yeah, I think so. Pickford or Johnston if you want to do goalkeeper transfer, Min?
Johnston.
Okay. All right, fair. Yeah. But you just never know, right? I think I would choose Pickford because he has some clean sheet potential. They need to, and they will play as defensive as possible. With Nottingham Forest without first and second goalkeeper Hennessy playing. Pilot on Crystal Attack, we did mention Eze.
Yeah, pile up. When I say pile up, do you mean bring in two? Yeah, I guess if you have the capacity, I think it's doable.
I like you mentioned Olise. People won't go Olise, but he could have a big game. Yeah. You can sense that. Could Firmino or Milner get their farewell penalty? I mean, this what people talking. Salah might not actually take any penalty this game. What do you think?
This is a tough one, but yeah, I think it'll be Milner's. Unless Firmino's already scored 2 and wants a hat trick, yeah, that'd be Firmino's. Otherwise, Milner gets it. You're right.
So you agree? So you agree? If Liverpool got a penalty, Salah won't take it?
Yes. No. If Milner starts, he'll take the penalty. But if Milner doesn't start, then Salah gets the penalty. But if Milner comes on, Milner will get it, but not Firmino. The first penalty if Salah's on the pitch, Salah will take it.
All right, fair. As a captaincy shout, we already mentioned we are interested. We are going crazy this Sunday. Okay, I think I got nothing to lose. My rank is 36k right now. What could happen? 50k, 70k. Just all.
10K,
Uh,
all it.
yeah, that could be a reward, right?
Sometimes it's just having that right captaincy that blanks when that scores and other captaincy options don't. So it could really push up. So it's possible.
Yep, Madison or Eze for the future captaincy. Eze could be the one. Madison, I'm not sure people are interested to be, and he is quite expensive, 8 million still, right?
Yeah, still expensive, and I wonder if Leicester get relegated, what happens to Madison? He's 7.8, so it's still quite expensive.
Last question from Yun Cheong Yang. Thank you for joining the stream. His question is, keep or sell Callum Wilson, mean? 3Q1, right?
Oh, this is a tough one. Cheong Yang, gosh. Okay, he was subbed off against Leicester after 67 minutes. So yeah, he can start. I'll keep him. I will keep him.
Yep. I think maybe if we have team news, then we keep him. But if we do not, and other places or other midfielder or striker that you have is comfortably going to start, and you have one free transfer, I could do Callum Wilson to Watkins that I mentioned. They have more potential. Slightly, you have some money in because Watkins 7.3. So that's the one. All right, man. We come to the end of the stream, but before we go off or we wrap it off, just want to share the number one current spot right now overall in in the world, okay, which is FPL Guns. Ali from Azerbaijan, people are rooting for him to win this. He's actually 10 points, 18 points more than the second place. And you can see he's something going a bit different. He can go Darwin, he can go Madison, and this is his team so far. Bruno has propelled him 18 points more than the second spot. As you can see from his team min, what do you think that he's going to do at the last game week of the season?
It seems fairly template, but then he does have Wilson, so and unfortunately he got Trippier at the bench instead of Akanji. I don't know what he'll do.
I think he will play Trippier, Lindelof, and TA. I think he just do that. Okay, and he can do Eze move or Joaquin moves. I think that's the one that I can think of.
He could do Mitoma for Eze if he feels that Eze has a better chance. So I think there's definitely options there. Of course, subject to team news. If anyone in his midfield he knows finds out won't start, then obviously he'll go for that. But other than that, yeah, I think Mitoma to Eze might be the best option for him.
All right, man. Let's remind to everyone that Game Week 38 deadline will be at 10 p.m. Malaysian time. Actually on Sunday. Sorry, I forgot to change the template. It is Sunday. It is the final day of the season. And hope we're going to get a blast one with really a good high scoring games. The average goals scored at the last game of the season is pretty high, right? I mean, 30 plus odds. So that's the one thing.
So are we going to do a wrap up stream?
I think what we plan to do maybe somewhere next week going to review the season. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's the one that we eyeing. Okay. And to everyone who actually watch the stream, thank you for joining the session. Thank you for watching. Definitely, if you're still here, do hit the like button and subscribe to our FPL Jedi YouTube channel, where hopefully we're going to have a last session next week, and then prepare ourselves for next season. Min. So, what's your last word, Min, before the final game week?
okay, it's going to be chaos. We haven't heard any system. We haven't had any system crashes in the past few weeks after that first time. So everything's going swimmingly. But my advice is to just continue checking, delay as late as possible if you can, to find out, especially when you have news like if Haaland doesn't start or Salah doesn't start, then you there's some impact there. But my advice is always plan it ahead, so that, and maybe open, if you're on a laptop, have multiple, so you can confirm the right one, but just make sure you confirm the right one. That's the risk there. You have to manage that. Other than that,
Yeah.
all the best for your last game week.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I can say, all the best to everyone. We already had a good season. Whichever ranking you are, you still have a chance if you're still chasing. Like myself, I don't know whether 10K is still possible. It's like 30 points odds, but things can happen, right? So we shall see. Hopefully, wish you all the best. Trying to push you inside definitely 1 million and keep there. Then we try to come back stronger next season. Okay, to all our viewers, we had a good season. Thank you for supporting us, and we shall see you next time in FPL Jedi show stream. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.